if I gave you an idea of that emerging island tour, so 33 players, 31 of them came through the academy system. Nearly all of them played through the under-20s over that 4 or 5 year period that led into that. And they're the players that are feeding the system. So everything's connected. And a lot of those players, like a lot of them won't make the World Cup, squad, in a year's time, that's obvious. But a lot of them will make the next one, and I suppose what we've got to look at is how do we keep rubbing shoulders at the top end of the game? Like, I'd be fairly confident now in saying that our structure and our processes and the model that we've got, that we've focused on for the last 6 years that have built that infrastructure and those foundations is pretty good. I won't say it's the best or what it could be, but it's pretty good. To the point where, certainly in the last couple of years, we're constantly being approached and asked by our competitors, by other sports about what we're doing. They want to know how a small country is actually achieving sustainable, consistent results. And obviously we're out there wanting to learn off what they're doing. We've taken a lot off those countries, competitors and other sports to produce what we've done. But we're hungry to keep learning and keep improving that model. But just improving that model isn't going to help Irish rugby for the future. Right? So the way that I would look at it now is that we've created something that's gotten us to where we are, but we're already looking beyond the World Cup. We're already looking at what's going to happen over the next 5 years, 10 years beyond that. And at the moment, what's happened is we set out putting the NTS together so that we could expedite the speed of development, so that we could create competition within the provinces to make sure that they are highly competitive environments and that there were always people coming out of our pipeline that were challenging for contracts, so that the players that weren't up to it got spat out and the best young kids got a shot, and that competition was being generated. I'd like to think that we've got to that point now. We've always got to keep feeding it and keep getting better. But what's happening now is that we have a model where over the next couple of years, we're going to run out of space. If everyone keeps doing their job down the bottom as well as they've done it to this point, or we keep improving down the bottom, we're going to run out of space in those provinces. And what we've got to be careful of, we've all seen what's happened over in England in recent times and the financial pressures that are on their game. We're not suffering from the same things. We're probably, at the other end of that stick. Whereas we've got a lot of good young players. We have a financially stable and sustainable rugby model that other countries would love to have. But what will happen with the pressure coming out of that UK market is that they've got to find better, cheaper players, and there's no surprise where they're going to come looking. Right? So we have to protect what we have. And what players crave is opportunity. Right? They crave opportunity to show you how good they can be. And we, as an organisation, have to create that opportunity for them if we are going to retain those players. So we've got a system in that underage bracket where probably I could say that all the kids that are in it from 16 years of age, they crave to be in an under-20 team. They want to play under-18, under-19, but they want to play in an under-20s Six Nations. They want to go to an under-20s Junior World Cup, which will be reinstated this year as well. So that's one benchmarking point. They then want to get a professional contract. So we've got huge numbers of our academy kids. I think we're running at about 85% at the moment transition. And so they're going up to fill that ambition. But then what's happening is we've got a competition structure in the professional game now where the change in the URC has not worked in Ireland's favour. It's worked against what we want. And we've got a situation there now where without matches in those windows, there's less opportunities or less easy opportunities for our coaches to be able to share the game time around. So that doesn't work in our favour. So we've got less opportunity for these talented players that are sitting at, let's call it the back end of those pro squads for longer periods of time. We have to look beyond that and say, well, okay, if you're a player and you're sitting there and you're not getting the relevant game time, but you're a highly talented individual who thinks that he should be further up that food chain. Give me games or I'm going to have to look to go somewhere. That's the reality of what I could see it becoming. So we're not in control of changing that URC model. It probably suits some of our competitors better than it suits us. But what it does show us is that we have to be creative, we have to be thoughtful about what's going to happen next. And whatever that means, I'm not 100% sure yet, but I can guarantee you we have to find ways for those players to be given hope and to be given opportunity, like the Emerging Ireland Tour created, and how it connects into Ireland A. We somehow now have to manipulate that end of the game, working with our teams to find a way to be able to make sure that our volume of quality young players are given the amount of time that they deserve to be able to reach what they want, which is to play for Ireland. We have to be able to create that, and we're working hard on that at the moment to work out what does that look like, how do we do that? Because if we're slack or if we're complacent, everyone else is going to catch us, they're going to pass us, and we have to keep being innovative, finding ways to create things that will solve that problem. We cannot keep doing the same things that we have done in the past or that we're doing now. It won't be good enough. So we have to find ways for that to happen. So in other words, the way we've been able to manufacture our pathway up to that under 20 feeding our provinces, we now have to work with our provinces and nationally to look at how we manipulate that top end of the game to be able to retain all the talent, all the good work, all the investment that's been put in underneath to be able to stay up in that top end of the game over the next 5 or 10 years.